With 5 affirmative votes, 19 negative votes, the motion to table the motion of Senator Marcoleta is lost.
My God, have mercy on your decision.
Plano ng Diyos, durugin tayo. Nagsalita ng Korte Suprema na mali ang proseso, mali ang panahon.
It's a quick manifestation from the distinguished gentleman from Palawan, Senator Erwin Tulfo. I move that he be recognized, Mr. President.
Senator Erwin Tulfo is recognized. You may proceed, sir, if the gentleman will so yield.
Yes, Mr. President.
Ginoong Pangulo, bilang bagong senador, ako po ay nais ko pong maliwanagan dahil kanina pa po ako nagugulamihanan sa mga pangyayari. Dahil 3 motion po ang nakasala ngayon, motion to dismiss, motion to table, motion to archive. Yung pagkaintindi ko po ngayong araw, 2 lang po ang ating pagdidesisyonan. Kung tayo ay i-dismiss na natin ito, o tayo po ay magkakaroon ng trial. At nag-aantay po ang taong bayan. At lumalalim na po ang gabi. Kaya ang tanong ko po ngayon, are we actually going to vote later or sa ilang saglit? At ano po ang ating pagbobotohan, Ginoong Pangulo? Yan lamang po.
To answer the query of the good gentleman, there are only 2 pending motions. The motion to table by the distinguished minority floor leader, which has precedence over the earlier motion of Senator Marcoleta, supposedly to dismiss, but that he acceded to amend it accordingly, and he will state the motion before we put it to a vote after we dispose of the motion of the minority floor leader to table. So 2 lang po yung pagbobotohan at dahil sabi ng kagalang-galang ng puno mayoriya na kayo na po yung huling magmamanifest, tutungo na po tayo doon.
Pwede na tayo doon.
Maraming salamat po.
With that, Mr. President, and no member wishes to interpolate, the minority leader is also seeking the floor. I move that
The
he be
minority
recognized,
leader
Mr.
is
President.
recognized. What is your pleasure, sir?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just one last push, so to speak.
The gentleman may proceed.
We're not saying that we defy the Supreme Court decision. We're simply saying, wait. Patience is a virtue. Yung analogy kasi na sa panliligaw, dismiss mo na kagad. Although merong mga matintimang birheng bumigay. Mas magandang analogy ito, Mr. President. In a basketball game, crucial, finals, world championship, merong review ng foul ang referee. Review muna. Dahil may foul eh. Ang gusto ng isang team, maglaro pa rin kahit nire-review. It's as simple as that. So, why not listen to the possibility of not dismissing but not accepting to table. And then we can bring it out anytime. Again, dun sa sinasabing Supreme Court has never considered a unanimous. It has. And the Supreme Court also spoke. Sabi nila, the immediately executory, they are not considered final until the lapse of the prescribed period without a so and so and so. Supreme Court din mismo may sabi niyan eh. Yun lamang po. Hopefully, kung speculation ang pinag-uusapan natin, stating that the Supreme Court will not reverse its unanimous decision is also speculative. So, pagbigyan natin to, Mr. President, sunod tayo, pero ilagay naman natin sa lugar. Medyo, ang Senado naman dapat itaas natin ang integridad, reputasyon. Hindi tayo, pag sinabi tumalon, tatalon. Pakinggan naman natin muna dahil maraming mali. Maraming error ang House, may error din yung Supreme Court decision, obviously. So you cannot right a wrong by another wrong. Thank you, Mr. President.
Noted. Senator Allen?
Mr. President.
Mr. President,
Just,
Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. President.
So, I'm discussing with the minority leader, trying to pursue a wording that will articulate our collective intent of the Senate. May I just mention and have a few, maybe 2 minutes with what Senator Risa, the esteemed senator, said. Yung spirit kasi ng Constitution, once ka lang pwede ma-impeach sa isang taon. At very clear po, pati po yung esteemed, I do recognize our the former chairman of the COMELEC, who, if he did not qualify me, I would not have become a councilor. Christian Munsod, our esteemed legal luminaries are here po. Alam niyo po, in all the books nakalagay doon, bakit may 1-year ban? Kasi nga, hindi daw dapat guluhin ng guluhin yung impeachable officer all throughout the year. Dapat isa lang. So yung spirit ng decision, nung sinabi ng BARD na, bigyan mo siya hanggang 1 year, hanggang February 6. Pero lumabas tayo sa legal. Ipa-floating muna natin to. I-dribble muna natin, tignan muna natin. When is the soonest that the Supreme Court can decide? The next 15, 30 days? By September 1, simula na ng budget hearing sa House. By late September, simula na tayo sa Senate. Baha, DepEd, gamot, trabaho, lahat yan, inaasikaso natin. Kung walang choice at isasabay natin impeachment hapon, impeachment umaga, legislation, bakit hindi? Pero hindi ba dapat bigyan din natin ng katahimikan yung ating bansa at least until February 6? Na sinabi na ng Supreme Court, barred, mali ang proseso, tuldukan na rin natin sa Senado. So, ang isa na lang po ang pinag-uusapan natin, which I want to give honor and thank the minority leader na, pero may appeal. So, whether or not the Senate says tuldukan na natin, nandun pa rin sa Supreme Court yung appeal. Would it be acceptable both to Senator Marcoleta and to the minority? What if we word the motion that we move to adhere to the decision of the Supreme Court in Duterte versus period? Huwag na natin ilagay sa dulo kung dismiss, area. Merely adhering. Kasi nasa decision naman, nasa loob na naman ng decision na void ab initio and executory right away. So I don't know if that's acceptable. No? I'm trying to think of a word. Adhere, even obey kasi baka ma-misinterpret na because some of us say na wala tayong choice to obey, some think na wag tayo subservient, di ba? But adhere might be a good word. Senator Marcoleta, are we getting closer or medyo lumayo?
I think, Mr. President, we're getting closer, except that we should put some operative words there that would indicate the closure of this very issue.
Mr. President, what if it's we move to for the Senate to adhere to the Senate to the Supreme Court decision in Duterte versus House of Representatives and hereby terminate whatever unless or until certain time na may Mr. President, may I ask the good sponsor, can we mention the appeal?
I don't think so, Mr. President. I think we can only
Because
adhere.
it's immediately executory.
I think in obedience to the decision of the Supreme Court, the Senate adheres to it and put to rest.
Let me put it another way, Mr. President. If a motion is approved to act upon the decision and to adhere to the decision, am I correct, Mr. President, that that will be the decision, that will be in our journal, and then by operation of administrative process in the Senate, everything that has to do with the impeachment will be sent to the archives?
That is correct, Your Honor. That is the
Yeah, I yield to
administrative procedure
Yes.
that will logically follow.
I yield to my colleagues, Mr. President. I'm just trying to
Senator
come up
Zubiri
with a
is recognized.
consensus.
Mr. President, I think the operative word today, if we do decide to act on the matters, to archive, as the precedents with former Ombudsman Gutierrez and former Chief Justice Davide. My
No,
question is,
former
Uh,
President Estrada.
former President Estrada, my apologies. Today, one of our Senate resolutions was archived. This is resolution number 35. And it's really simple, a simple amendment to the rules. But my question, Mr. President, is nothing can stop us from pulling it out of the archives and taking it over once again in plenary. Is that correct, Mr. President?
That is correct, Your Honor. Besides, although the Supreme Court said that the Senate never acquired jurisdiction and that the articles of impeachment are void, null and void ab initio from the beginning, we cannot deny the fact that the articles of impeachment were in fact sent to the Senate, that the Senate convened and sent out certain orders and summons, and these are all part of the records. So it's but natural, although it was declared unconstitutional and that the Senate never acquired jurisdiction, for us to still include that as part of the records of the Senate, because it is part of the Senate's history.
Yes, and precedence tells us that we have done so in the past.
That is correct, Your Honor.
So, would it be proper to say that it will be archived without prejudice to the decision from the final decision of the Supreme Court from the motion for reconsideration? I mean, it's the same thing, without prejudice. We do that with the bills. We approve it on second reading without prejudice. But each and every one of us here questioning second reading approval, they have 3 days in which we can act upon it.
Well, Your Honor, whether you state that or not, we can bring it out of the archives by a majority vote anyway. So it's
Yes.
it's with the pleasure of the body, if
Yes.
the body will agree to include that phrase or not. But
Thank you
in
for the
relation to
clarity,
Senator
Mr. President.
Cayetano's suggestion, Senator Marcoleta, if we simply vote, in your case, not the motion to table, to adhere, once that decision becomes final, meaning to say after the lapse of the period for a member who voted with the winning side, on the winning side, to seek a reconsideration, the natural effect, without being included in your motion today, would be to archive it. And by virtue of the manifestation of former Senate President Zubiri, if circumstances change, nothing prevents the body, plenary, from making the corresponding motion, putting it to a vote, and reflect the change in circumstances, if any.
That will be acceptable, Mr. President.
Thank you, Your Honor. Senator Sotto?
Mr. President, somehow parallel to what you're discussing, perhaps we could consider, no, and I would like to call the attention of the original proponent of this position, Senator Alan Cayetano, who was former Speaker of the House, to adhere to the Supreme Court decision upon its final disposition. In meantime, table or archive upon whatever your pleasure would be. At least, maliwanag sa atin na upon its final disposition, na may motion for reconsideration. We're still giving that chance of a motion for reconsideration.
If I may, Your Honor, if you will indulge me, if I may state the working motion to adhere to the July 25, 2025 decision of the Supreme Court declaring the articles of impeachment null and void ab initio, and that the Senate did not acquire jurisdiction over the same. We can stop there. And then, as I said, after the vote becomes final, on Monday or Tuesday, if no one will seek a reconsideration, to archive it. If there is no change, then it remains in the archives and nothing needs to be done. If the Supreme Court reverses itself, however possible or impossible that may be, then we will entertain a motion to bring it out of the archives. Bring it out of the archives and act accordingly again in obedience to the Supreme Court decision. So,
Ang problema, Mr. President, when we say that the Senate has not acquired jurisdiction, masang-ayon tayo sa sinasabi ng Supreme Court decision nilang ito na maraming nagsasabi na hindi tama. Dahil tinawag nyo to ng June 9 nag-oath ang Senate President. Nag-oath yung iba ng June 10, nag-motion, nag-robe pa nga Hindi naman pwedeng pampelikula lang yun, pan-TV lang yung robe na yun. You convened. So hindi pwedeng sabihin ng Supreme Court that you never acquired jurisdiction. February 5, 4:15 p.m., the Senate President's Office and the Senate Secretariat received the articles of impeachment.
I'm sorry, Minority Leader. Legally, when you say the Senate never acquired jurisdiction, it does not deny the fact that we convened. That is a totally different matter. It says that since the articles of impeachment violated the one-year ban, that we never supposedly acquired jurisdiction. Not that we never did when it was not yet barred by the Supreme Court. That factual situation still exists and is part of our records. As I said, that's why the better alternative is to archive it because it was part of what actually happened, transpired, and it's part of the Senate's history. But having said that, without belaboring the point, if agreement cannot be reached, then we can proceed to dispose of the motion of Senator Sotto, our distinguished minority floor leader, to lay the motion of Senator Marcoleta on the table, and depending on the outcome of that vote, should it not be favorable to the movant, then we proceed to act on the motion of Senator Marcoleta. If it is favorable to the movant, the distinguished minority floor leader, then there is no need to proceed with the motion of Senator Marcoleta. Senator Lacson.
Mr. President, we have to determine first if Senator Marcoleta has legal standing in filing his motion to dismiss.
He will amend this motion later. We will first decide on the motion.
So there's amendment to the motion.
Yes. And then let's hear his motion, Your Honor.
Yes. Mr. President, the lady from Antique is seeking the floor. I move that he be
Senator
recognized.
Legarda is recognized. What is your pleasure, ma'am?
Thank you, Mr. President. It's been 3 hours and a half with the very enlightening discussions. I just wanted to clarify, and actually, may I convey that there is a sliver of a difference between the two motions, so I wanted to be clarified. The original motion to dismiss, I believe, has been amended based on the discussions to the motion to archive.
Yes.
And the motion to archive, in my understanding, based on all the explanations, would be without prejudice to the reopening of the possibility after the Supreme Court conveys its ruling on the motion for reconsideration.
Yes.
And therefore, in the possibility of the event that it reverses itself, then we would act accordingly.
That is correct, Your
Yes.
Honor.
On the other hand, there is a motion which takes precedence, and that has been the motion of the minority leader to lay on the table the motion. But when you see and interpret the amended motion of the original movement, Senator Marcoleta, and the minority leader's motion, it's similar because it lays on the table, or it somehow just postpones indefinitely until such time that the Supreme Court has decided on the motion for reconsideration. Is there any possibility that
May I
we can
explain the
agree so that we can amend it so that the body can actually vote as one? Because we are not putting it to a permanent halt, because we will be waiting anyway for the motion for reconsideration by the Supreme Court.
Yes, Mr.
The
President.
ruling on that.
May I have
Yes.
1 minute to explain the difference?
I know that there is,
Yeah.
let me state, I know there is a difference. I was just trying to bridge
Yes.
the difference so that there could not there is no need for a painful vote.
Yes, I will just explain the
yes.
difference so that we know.
Senator Cayetano is
Yes.
recognized with the permission
Yes.
of Senator Erwin Tulfo.
Thank you. Mr. President, the reason why I want to explain the difference para malaman natin bakit malapit pero malayo.
Yes, okay.
Because when you laid it on the table, ang ibig sabihin niyan, buhay pa yung impeachment. Samantalang sinabi ng Supreme Court, immediately executory. So pag lay on the table, buhay pa yan, pero mamamatay yan paglabas ng MR. Pag in-archive mo, baliktad. Patay na yan. Kasi sinabi na ng Supreme Court, immediately executory.
Void ab initio.
Pero mabubuhay yan pag binuhay ng Supreme Court. Now, ang ibinigay na po ni Senator Marcoleta sa atin, pumayag na siyang tanggalin yung word na dismiss. Because nga, even I question, we're going to dismiss, wala nga jurisdiction. Although there's a Supreme Court ruling saying na pag wala ka na magawa, walang jurisdiction, i-dismiss. So the proposal, which is accepted by Senator Marcoleta, is that we adhere to the decision and then archive it. So ang natural effect nun, sinunod natin yung Supreme Court na immediately executory. Wala tayong, we cannot say na tama to, malito, malito. You only have two choices. Do you follow the Supreme Court or you don't follow? You cannot say tama to, malito. Diba? So that's I think that's the level of disagreement.
Okay, I
Mr.
take
Chair.
note of that, and I was trying to have a unanimous vote and trying to bridge the two motions, which, based on Rule 31, there is actually no motion to archive, but actually every day we archive in our referral. So because of that practice, then that motion is therefore acceptable. Having said that, Mr. President, let me just summarize what we are voting on. We're actually, and I will just say it, the very, very short dispositive portion of the Supreme Court decision. And this is the article, and I quote it, the articles of impeachment are declared barred by Article 11, Section 3, Paragraph 5 of the Constitution. Likewise, they are unconstitutional and are deemed null and void ab initio. Consequently, the Senate did not acquire jurisdiction to constitute itself into an impeachment court, and this decision is immediately executory. I just wanted to summarize what we've been discussing for 3 hours and a half. And while my attempt to bridge the two similarly worded motions did not succeed, then we will therefore have to put it into a vote. Thank you, Mr.
Majority
President.
Thank you,
Leader.
Mr. President. Mr. President, I think we heard enough, and I think it's about time that we dispose the motion of our distinguished minority
Mr. President.
leader to
Mr.
lay
President.
this on the table, Mr. President.
President,
So I
parliamentary
move
inquiry.
for the previous
Parliamentary
motion.
inquiry, Mr. President.
What
Mr.
is
President, Senator Aquino is seeking the floor.
What is the parliamentary inquiry of Senator Aquino?
Mr. President, may I get, earlier Senator Cayetano talked about the differences between a motion to table and motion to archive. May I get an official response, Mr. President? Is that really the difference?
Your Honor, we have not yet heard the motion of Senator Marcoleta.
No, Mr. President, a motion to archive and a motion to table, for us laymen, it sounds similar. Sa totoo lang, Mr. President. Anong pinagkaiba niya, Mr. President?
Senator Aquino,
I mean,
what Senator Sotto, that's why I prefer that we act on the motion. What Senator Sotto is seeking to table is not the articles of impeachment nor the impeachment case, but the motion of Senator Marcoleta, which we haven't heard.
Okay.
So, when we decide on the motion to table, the motion of Senator Marcoleta, not the articles of impeachment.
Yes. And the motion to archive are the articles of impeachment, Mr. President.
Yes.
Yun yung pinagkaiba niya.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Sotto?
My motion to table was to table the motion of Senator Marcoleta.
yes.
The
That's
motion
exactly
to
what I
dismiss.
said, Your Honor.
Yes.
Oo.
That's exactly what I said.
That is
That
not,
the motion to table pertains to the motion of Senator Marcoleta,
to dismiss.
not
Correct.
the articles
the
of
new one.
impeachment.
Not the articles.
The motion of Senator Marcoleta, if at all, would pertain to the articles of impeachment and or the impeachment case.
And if I may add, Mr. President.
Senator Pangilinan?
Well, the motion to archive.
Senator Pangilinan, we're not yet there.
Well, okay. The motion to table. The motion. Then frees us from the debate of whether or not we have the power as a Senate in plenary to address the impeachment complaint.
The chair said that earlier.
Yes, and therefore...
We will first put
Okay.
to a vote the motion to table of our distinguished minority floor leader, which under our rules has precedence over the motion of Senator Marcoleta, although made earlier. Depending on the outcome of that vote, then we will act on the motion of Senator Marcoleta accordingly. Senator Estrada.
Mr. President, we have been listening to all the manifestations of almost all senators who stood up. Mr. President, it has been 4 hours listening to several manifestations of our colleagues, and it is about time that we decide right away the pending motions before us. Mr. President, the Filipino people are watching. The Filipino people are listening. The Senate has to act, and the Senate has to act decisively. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the previous motion, Mr. President. On the motion of the Minority Leader, Senator Tito Sotto, to lay on the table the motion of Senator Rodante Marcoleta.
Is there any objection to the motion of the Majority Leader for the Senate? What is the pleasure of the Minority Floor Leader?
Mr. President, I move for a nominal vote.
The chair has every intention of doing that, Your Honor. There is a motion to vote on the motion of Senator Sotto to lay on the table the motion of Senator Marcoleta pertaining to the articles of impeachment vis-a-vis and in light of the Supreme Court decision of July 25, 2025. To explain, a yes, affirmative, or aye vote supports the motion of the Honorable Minority Leader, and it therefore means that we will not act on the motion of Senator Marcoleta today. A nay vote, a no vote, means that the motion of Senator Marcoleta will not be laid on the table and that we will act and vote upon it today. Senator Lacson? Later on, we'll know the amendment. Senator Lacson, so that it's on the record, please.
So you're only referring, Mr. President, to the motion to dismiss? No, motion to table. Just the motion to table.
Just the motion to table, Your Honor, because we are not yet there. There being no objection, the motion is of the... Yes, Senator Zubiri.
Yes, Mr. President, being a former Senate President and being former Majority Leader, I'd like to ask the audience to restrain from commenting or laughing, please. Well, we are in a, for me, it's a sacred place. It is in the august chamber of the Senate that we have decorum. May we ask for decorum from those who are watching within the plenary, Mr. President.
Actually, they have been silent for the past 3.5 hours. Chair would like to remind the people in the gallery to kindly respect the processes and procedures of the Senate and to avoid any claps, any jeering or comments so that we can proceed with roll call vote.
Yes, with due respect, because I heard a lot of laughing after the poor gentleman from our good friend, Senator Lacson, asked only for a clarification of the vote that will happen in a few seconds.
The Sergeant at Arms is so directed.
Just proper decorum, because this is a very important vote, and it's a very serious vote that will be taking place. Thank you.
The Sergeant at Arms is so directed to kindly maintain order in the gallery. Acting now on the motion of the Majority Leader for us to divide the House and vote on the motion to lay on the table, Secretary is directed to call the roll for nominal voting.
Roll call vote. The Honorable Senator Aquino. Senator Cayetano Alan. Senator Cayetano Pia. Senator De La Rosa. Senator Ejercito. Senator Estrada. Senator Gatchalian. Senator Go. Senator Ontiveros. Senator Lacson. Senator Lapid. Senator Legarda. Senator Marcoleta. Senator Marcos. Senator Padilla. Senator Pangilinan. Senator Sotto.
May I register my vote, Mr. President?
The minority leader may proceed.
Thank you. Mr. President, the Supreme Court decision is now pending appeal. It is prudent to wait for the results rather than prematurely archiving, if not dismissing, because I know for a fact, once it is archived, it is dead. So what happens if the Supreme Court reverses itself? Clear and blatant errors are present in the ruling of the Supreme Court. First, they misunderstood the legislative process in assuming that the 19th Congress adjourned sine die in February 5. Grave error. Thus effectively dismissing the first three complaints, paving the way for them to say na ano pala, yung 1-year ban binayolate. The archiving of the three complaints were done after the initiation of the fourth complaint. The 1-year ban did not set in. Second, the decision practically amended the clear mandate by the Constitution by placing a hierarchy on the modes to initiate an impeachment complaint. Parang wala na yung third option. Third, the Supreme Court retroactively applied the new definition to the present case in the violation of the doctrine of operative facts, thus voiding as well the impeachment proceedings of former President Estrada and Chief Justice Corona. They did not interpret the Constitution, Mr. President. They amended the Constitution. So lastly, the Supreme Court now has the chance to rectify these errors in its decision. So I was hoping to table the motion so that we can let us afford them this opportunity for the benefit of future impeachment processes and to uphold the clear mandate of the 1987 Constitution. All we needed to do was wait a little. And so I will have to register a yes vote. I know it will be a vote in the minority, but I have always voted in the minority in many issues in the Senate since 1992 up to the present. Always prayed I was wrong. Unfortunately, I was always right. My God, have mercy on your decision. I vote yes.
Noted. Secretary will please continue.
Senator Tulfo Erwin. Senator Tulfo Rafi. Senator Villanueva. Senator Villar Camille. Senator Villar Mark. Senator Zubiri. Senate President Escudero.
No.
Pwedeng mag-explain ng boto.
Before the explanations of vote, Chair would first like to make of record the result. With 5 affirmative votes, 19 negative votes, the motion to table the motion of Senator Marcoleta is lost. Lost. Sotto. Sorry, Senator Sotto is lost. No, he said the motion to table the motion of Senator Marcoleta is lost.
Yes.
Pati tuloy ako, nalito dito siya.
Mr. President,
Senator Villanueva.
if I may, Mr. President, and to go back to the first motion raised by Senator Marcoleta, if I may be allowed, Mr. President, to amend, Mr. President, the motion, Mr. President.
The gentleman may proceed with the permission of Senator Marcoleta.
Mr. President, adhering to the immediately executory decision rendered by the Supreme Court en banc on 25 of July 2025, which held, among others, the articles of impeachment are null and void ab initio, and that the Senate did not acquire jurisdiction over the same, I move to transfer the articles of impeachment in relation to case number 002-2011 entitled in the matter of the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Zimmerman Duterte to the archives. I so move, Mr. President.
What does Senator Marcoleta say?
I accept, Mr. President.
There is a motion as enunciated by the minority floor leader. What is the pleasure of Senator Zubiri?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, instead of a viva voce vote on that motion, may we be allowed to manifest our votes with a short manifestation, Mr. President, each and every one of us.
This,
Yeah, through nominal voting, Mr. President, with the permission of the body, of course.
no, I think Senator Sotto, the motion of Senator Zubiri is to conduct nominal voting and allow the members to explain their votes after casting their vote, not after everyone has voted. I think that is the tenor of the motion of Senator Zubiri.
Correct, Mr.
Ang binobotohan muna natin, amendment mo di ba? Tinanggap niya.
Hindi, yung motion na.
Tinanggap niya. So, Mr. President, the Majority Leader, Senator Marcoleta accepted the amendment of the Majority Leader. So, what are we voting on now? May we now...
The motion
hear-
as amended
Yes,
by
a motion
Senator
as amended.
Villanueva.
May we hear the motion as amended, please?
May the gentleman,
Yes.
the distinguished majority leader,
Yes,
kindly
Mr.
state
President.
once again for the record and benefit of our colleagues, the motion as duly accepted by Senator Marcoleta.
Thank you, Mr. President. Adhering to the immediately executory decision rendered by the Supreme Court en banc on 25th July 2025, which held, among others, that the articles of impeachment are null and void ab initio and that the Senate did not acquire jurisdiction over the same. I move to transfer the articles of impeachment in relation to case number 002-2011 entitled in the matter of the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Zimmerman Duterte to the archives. I so move, Mr. President.
May we register, would anyone from the minority or those opposing the motion would like to make of record their objection before so that we can divide the House?
Yes, Mr. President,
Yes,
I
please.
object and
Thank you.
ask for a nominal vote.
Thank you. With the understanding, Senator Soto, that it is in accordance with the request of Senator Zubiri, that upon the name is called, the explanation of vote may be made, should they so desire. There is a motion duly objected to, as stated by the minority floor leader, to place into to transfer to the archives the impeachment articles of impeachment in relation to the impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte. Secretary is directed to call the roll and proceed to nominal voting.
Roll call vote. The Honorable Senator Aquino. Senator Cayetano Alan.
Sir President, sabi po ng preamble ng Philippine Constitution, we, the sovereign Filipino people, imploring the aid of Almighty God in order to build a just and humane society and establish a government that shall embody our ideals and aspirations, promote the common good, conserve and develop our patrimony, and secure to ourselves and our posterity the blessing of independence and democracy under the rule of law, a regime of truth, justice, freedom, love, equality, peace, do ordain and promulgate this Constitution. Nanumpa po tayo na susundin natin tong Constitution na to. Madali pong sumumpa, mahirap to pa rin. Madali pong sumumpa na susundin kung naniniwala tayo sa desisyon. Paano kung hindi tayo naniniwala sa desisyon? Paano kung ang tinatanggal ngayong hapon na to ay si President Marcos at ayaw kong maging presidente si Vice President Sara Duterte? Will I have the courage to follow the same decision? That is the test I apply to myself today. Tinignan ko po ang Supreme Court decision, solid po. hindi nito inaalis ang kapangyarihan sa House to initiate impeachment. February 6 po, sigurado yan. In fact, before February 6, may quadcom na, magiging glorieta na yan soon. Tuloy-tuloy po yan, yung mga investigasyon na yon, kasi ganun ang politika sa Pilipinas. I hope yung sa baha, imbestigahan din. I hope yung sa corruption, sa smuggling, sa karami-rami nating utang, not only this administration, last administration, 10 administrations. We in this room are all for accountability, but tama yung Supreme Court sa tamang panahon, tamang proseso. Jeremiah 29:11 tells us, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in a future." Plano ng Diyos, pagpalain tayo. Pero plano ng Diyos, durugin tayo. So, I remember this episode, I think it was in Twilight Zone, and it was also many, many times portrayed on television. What if nakilala mo si Hitler when he was 6 years old or when he was a baby, papatayin mo ba siya? I think even sa psychology or philosophy classes, tinatanong to ng mga professors, what if you had that unique opportunity, nakatabi mo si Hitler nung 6 years old siya, papatayin mo ba siya? Ang hirap sagutin nun. Of course, for us who believe that thou shall not murder, ang sagot madali. But what if you could have prevented the worst human rights violations in the world, the Holocaust? What if you could have prevented such fire of fascism that it actually swept, kung hindi ako nagkakamali, nag-Time Magazine of the Year pa si Hitler. I wonder what our answer is. But I know my answer here today. If you kill Hitler when you are 6 years old, if you justify the ends by the means, you will create more Hitlers. So if the Vice President is guilty, dapat po siya ay i-impeach. Pero sa tamang panahon at tamang proseso. Nagsalita ng Korte Suprema na mali ang proseso, mali ang panahon. But yun po, Mr. President, sana kung ano ang discussion since February 5 dito na nakatuon kay Vice President Sara Duterte, sana kung sino ang guilty sa mga baha, ganun din tayo. Hindi naman siguro si Sara ang gumawa ng mga baha. Sana po kung ano ang cause ng pagkabansot or stunting yung corruption, ganun din. Araw-araw talagang wag natin tantanan.